I never thought I'd cash in on a dead man's sins. But there I was, veins humming with someone else's stolen youth, sliding that forged check across the scarred oak desk like it was a loaded revolver. The librarian's fingers tightened around my grandson's Boy Scout badge, the one I'd pinned on Tommy's chest before they buried him empty-eyed in that unmarked grave, and her lips curled in a way that said she knew exactly whose ghost was staring back at her. In that split-second hush of the library on Indigenous Peoples' Day, with the echo of forgotten drumbeats still hanging in the air from the morning's cancelled rally, I whispered the truth she'd buried deeper than my boy's bones. You think you silenced us. Evelyn, I brought the receipt. My name is Dakota Blackfeather. Or, at least it used to be, before the world decided to play God with a surgeon's scalpel and a billionaire's grudge. Back then, I was just an old res dog scraping by in the shadow of the Badlands, nursing a lifetime of broken promises from the white man's government. 68 years on this earth. Most of them spent fighting for scraps of land that my Lakota ancestors bled for at Wounded Knee. I raised my grandson Tommy single after his ma, my daughter, overdosed on the meth that flooded our reservation like a biblical plague. Tommy was my light. That kid. Eagle Scout at 15. Dreaming of law school to sue the suits who poison our water with uranium runoff. But dreams die quick out here in South Dakota, where the wind whispers lies and the eagles circle for the fallen. It started with a letter. Not some fancy scroll, but a crisp envelope from the Department of the Interior, stamped with that eagle emblem that mocks us every time it seals another betrayal. Compensation for historical injustices. Yeah, right. I'd seen those before, checks that bounced harder than a politician's conscience. But this one was different. $5 million, they said, for the Blackfeather family's displaced acreage from the 1880s. Land my great-grandpa walked until the cavalry drove us off like coyotes from a kill. I laughed when I read it, folding it into my shirt pocket as I drove my rusted Ford pickup into Rapid City for the payout meeting. Tommy was riding shotgun, his badge glinting on his uniform, chattering about how we'd use the money to build a community center on the res. No more kids sniffing glue in the ditches. Grandpa, he said, his voice cracking with that teenage fire. I ruffled his hair and lied through my teeth. It's ours now, son. Finally, the meeting was in a glass tower downtown, the kind of place where suits sip lattes and pretend they're saving the world one tax write-off at a time. Evelyn Hargrove was waiting in the conference room, all pearls and pantsuit, her smile sharp as a reservation fence post. She was the liaison, some hotshot from D.C., with a law degree from Yale and a family tree rooted in the very generals who signed our death warrants. Mr. Blackfeather, she purred, shaking my calloused hand like it was a dirty secret. This is a landmark restitution. Your story, it's inspirational. Tommy beamed beside me, but I saw the flicker in her eyes. That calculating glint. We signed the papers, posed for photos with flags and fake totem poles they'd wheeled in for authenticity. The check cleared that afternoon, fat and real in my bank app. For the first time, I felt the weight lift, like maybe the ghosts could rest. That night, back on the res, we celebrated quiet. Fry bread and bison stew under the stars, Tommy drumming on an old hide while the elders nodded approval. But dawn brought the knock. Federal agents, badges flashing like bad omens, hauling me out in cuffs while Tommy screamed from the porch. Embezzlement, they barked. Fraudulent claim on federal lands. My check? Frozen. My name? Smeared across the local news as the greedy Injun who tried to game the system. Tommy tried to fight it, filed appeals, rallied the council, but the feds had doctored the signatures. Planted emails, making it look like I'd bribed appraisers. By week's end, they had me in a cell in Sioux Falls, staring at concrete walls that smelled of despair. Tommy visited once, his face gaunt, whispering, "Hang on, Grandpa. I'll fix this." Then the accident. A freak rollover on Highway 18, his truck mangled like tinfoil. No witnesses. Coroner said he'd been drinking, but Tommy didn't touch the stuff. They buried him with that badge pinned to his scout vest, the one Evelyn had borrowed for some charity auction photo op the month before. I rotted in there for 2 years. Appeals denied. The money vanished into administrative fees. Letters from the res dried up, folks too scared of the blowback. Solitary became my church, where I pieced together the betrayal like a shattered medicine wheel. Evelyn. It had to be. Her firm handled the restitution fund, and whispers from a guard, ex-res himself, hinted at her side hustle, siphoning Indigenous claims to pad offshore accounts for her boss, Senator Harlan Voss. Voss, the silver-haired hawk from D.C., who chaired the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs while golfing with oil barons eyeing our sacred sites for fracking. Evelyn was his fixer, the one who buried bodies under bureaucracy. She'd framed me to cover the skim, let my boy die to silence the questions. Rage festered like black mold. But what could an old man do from a 6x8 box? Then came Dr. Elias Crow. The prison shrink, they called him, but his eyes held secrets sharper than Freud's couch. Bald as a buzzard, with a limp from some lab accident, he slipped into my sessions peddling philosophy, souls as software, bodies as hardware. "What if," he murmured one gray afternoon, "you could rewrite the code, slip into the skin of your enemy and burn their world from the inside?" I thought he was cracked, until he showed me the vial, clear as spring water, labeled Project Echo, Neural Transference Serum, black budget DARPA shit. He said, cooked up in a bunker under Cheyenne Mountain to let generals jump into clone soldiers. Glitchy as hell. Fatal 9 times out of 10. But the 1 in 10? You woke up in someone else's meat suit. Memories intact. Controls yours. He tested it on volunteers, cons signing away rights for a shot at freedom. "Voss is coming to the state pen tomorrow," Crow whispered, glancing at the door. "Fundraiser for Tough on Crime reforms." "You in?" I should have said no. Lakota way is harmony, not vengeance. But Tommy's badge haunted my dreams. That metal eagle twisted in the wreck. "Do it," I growled. The swap was agony. Needles in the spine. Electrodes frying synapses as Voss glad-handed inmates in the yard. Crow timed it perfect, Voss mid-speech about rehabilitating savages, when the serum hit. His eyes bulged, body convulsing like a hooked trout. Guards thought seizure. I blacked out to the scent of his expensive cologne. Woke up choking on silk tie, staring at manicured hands that weren't mine. Voss's hands. Crow nodded from the shadows. "Welcome to the other side, Dakota. Now make em pay." The first days were hell, piloting a stranger's flesh. Voss was fit for 70, yoga and kale smoothies, but his heart raced like a spooked Mustang at every mirror glance. I ditched the fundraiser, feigning migraine, and holed up in his Rapid City penthouse overlooking the Missouri River. Phones buzzed. Evelyn. AIDS. Donors. I mimicked his clipped baritone from news clips. Buying time. Tommy's face stared from my Voss's laptop screensaver. A photo from the signing. "Soon, kid," I muttered. tracing the scar on Voss's palm from a boyhood fall. Secrets spilled easy once I cracked his safe, ledgers showing the skim. Evelyn's emails plotting my frame. Even a memo greenlighting the accident on Tommy paid off a trucker with res meth debts. Betrayal cut deep. But power? Voss's Rolodex was a map to Hell's VIP lounge. I started small. Leaked a memo to a blogger. Anonymous tip on Voss's Indigenous slush fund. The press nibbled. Controversial. Sure. But who cared about res fraud? Evelyn called that night. Voice honey over venom. Harlan. Darling. Pull it back. The senator's image is fragile. Darling. So that's how it was. I played along, luring her to the penthouse for strategy. She arrived in red heels, reeking of Chanel, cooing over Voss's, my stiff posture. You look off, she said, pouring scotch. I smiled his wolfish smile. Just the ghosts.
Eve.
Tell me about Blackfeather again. How'd we bury that old fool? Her laugh tinkled like breaking glass.
Easy.
Forge the claim. Pin the booze on the kid. Clean. Confession on tape. Hidden in the ice bucket. But I needed more. The Real kill shot. Indigenous Peoples Day loomed, the one holiday where America pretends to atone. Voss was slated for a speech in Rapid City Library, irony thick as moccasin soles, donating restitution artifacts to gloss his sins. Tommy's badge was there, gifted by Evelyn for the exhibit. I saw my opening. Plotted in Voss's marble bathroom, steam fogging the truth. I'd show up. Present a check for the fund, actually a printout of the embezzled millions, stamped with Voss's own signature, and watch her squirm. But first, decisions that'd haunt any medicine man. Do I expose it all? Risk the res getting blacklisted? Or go darker, frame Evelyn for the hit on Tommy? Let her rot in my old cell? Controversy brewed in my gut. But revenge? It tasted like sweetgrass smoke. As the day dawned, crisp October wind rattling the penthouse windows, I slipped on Voss's bespoke suit, the fabric heavy with his sins. The library waited, a tomb of forgotten stories. Tommy's badge gleamed in my mind's eye, calling me home. Driving Voss's black Escalade through Rapid City's gridlock felt like stealing thunder from the gods. Billboards hawked casino jackpots and Trump rallies, the American dream distilled to neon lies. I gripped the wheel too tight, knuckles whitening Voss's hands, soft as a bureaucrat's promise. Radio droned NPR. Indigenous Peoples Day events across the heartland highlight ongoing struggles for sovereignty. I snapped it off. Sovereignty? We'd trade it for justice on the res, where kids like Tommy still died for want of clean water. My mind raced ahead to the library, Evelyn's face when I dropped the bomb. But doubt not. Was this Lakota way? Or just an old man's poison? Crow had warned. In that last hushed visit before I ghosted him, the serum's unstable. Dakota. Memories bleed. You stay too long. You become him. Become Voss? I'd sooner eat my own heart. The library loomed on Main Street, a brick relic from the WPA days. Its marquee fluttering with banners, honoring Native voices, artifacts, and stories. Protesters milled outside, braids and placards, chanting for land back, while cops in riot gear eyed them like hawks. I parked in the VIP spot, badge from Voss's glove box parting the crowd like Moses at the river. Whispers followed. Senator Voss. Early, I nodded his imperious nod, heart pounding with my own pulse. Inside, the air hummed with hushed reverence. Shelves groaning under volumes on treaties broken and buffalo vanished. Elders from the res clustered near the display case, murmuring over arrowheads and beaded vests, props for white guilt. Evelyn spotted me first, gliding from the podium like a shark in heels. "Harlan, you're a vision." The check. Her eyes darted. Hungry for the photo op. I patted my breast pocket. The forged document crackling, my donation to the fund, laced with incriminating footnotes. All set.
Love.
But first, a word. I steered her to a side alcove, past the circulation desk where the head librarian, Mrs. Hargrove, no relation, thanked the spirits, polished the counter with absent swipes. Tommy's badge sat under glass nearby, labeled artifact from local scout troop, symbol of resilience. Resilience. The word soured my borrowed spit. We huddled by the history stacks, her perfume cloying. "Harlan, the speech, keep it light." "No genocide talk. Donors hate that." I leaned in, Voss's breath hot on her ear. "Tell me."
Eve.
"How's the offshore account?" Cayman balance hitting 8 figures yet. Her smile froze, then shattered. "What the hell, Harlan? If this is your idea of foreplay." I slipped the phone from my pocket, hitting play. Her voice, tinny but damning, forged the claim, pinned the booze on the kid. She lunged, nails raking my arm, Voss's arm, drawing pinpricks of blood. "You recorded me? You bastard." Whispers rippled, heads turned. I twisted free, voice low thunder. "Not Voss. Evelyn. Dakota Blackfeather. Remember the old fool you framed? The grandson you ran off the road? I'm wearing his skin now. And I've got the receipts." Her face drained to chalk, eyes bulging like Voss's had during the swap. "Impossible. You're oh god. The serum. Crow warned us about leaks." Us. So she knew. The pieces slammed home. Evelyn wasn't just the fixer, she funded Project Echo, Voss's pet project for eternal leadership, immortality for the elite. Bodies swapped like suits at the dry cleaner. They'd tested it on inmates first, res prisoners. Disposable as uranium waste. Tommy? Collateral. Sniffing too close. Rage boiled. But I reined it, glancing at the badge case. "That belonged to my boy. You pawned it for your exhibit. Like our pain's a prop." She laughed, brittle as autumn leaves. "Your boy was a pest. Dakota. Meddling in affairs beyond his station." Harlan's vision, American renewal, demands sacrifices. Renewal. The word twisted like a knife. Voss's emails painted it clear. Echo wasn't just for generals, it was for reshaping the heartland. Swap out troublesome leaders, tribal chairs, activists with compliant shells. My people, puppets in our own skins. Controversial? Hell. It was treason wrapped in stars and stripes. I grabbed her wrist, hard enough to bruise. "Sacrifice this."
Eve.
"I'm leaking everything, ledgers, tapes, the swap logs. Your little immortality club ends today." She yanked free, hissing, "You think you can play, Harlan? The board knows your tells. One call, and Crow's goons drag you back to Gen Pop. Permanently. Gen Pop. My old hell. But in Voss's shoes. I had leverage, his codes,
His clout.
The crowd swelled, elders approaching with wary nods. "Senator. Honored you're here early," murmured one. A wiry woman from Pine Ridge with eyes like polished obsidian. I clasped her hand, mine trembling, mumbling platitudes about healing divides. Evelyn slipped away, phone to ear, no doubt summoning Voss's security. Time ticked like a fuse. I beelined for the desk. Mrs. Hargrove looking up with librarian steel. Senator Voss? The donation. I slid the check across, 5 million. Voss's sig scrawled in my shaky hand. Footnotes citing the fraud. For the Artifacts Fund. But add this exhibit. Boy Scout badge of Tommy Blackfeather. Killed covering for thieves. Her brows knit. Fingers hovering. Killed? I thought. Accident. I leaned in. Voice cracking. My voice. Not his. Murder.
Ma'am.
By the woman who gifted it. She glanced at the badge. Then me. Something shifting in her gaze. You don't sound like the senator on TV. Busted. But before I could spin, shouts erupted, protesters breaching the doors. Chanting, land back. Chaos bloomed. Books tumbling. Flashes popping. Evelyn reappeared, flanked by suits. Pointing, that's not Voss. Imposter. The real Voss, my old body. Shambling in from a side door. Eyes vacant from the botched reverse swap crow botched, lurched forward. Groaning my name. Dakota. Give it back. Gasps rippled. Phones whipped out. I snatched the badge from the case. Pinning it to my lapel, Tommy's eagle over Voss's heart. This is for the boy you broke. Security swarmed, but the elders formed a wall. Voices rising in Lakota prayer. Evelyn shrieked. Arrest him, but Mrs. Hargrove, God bless her ink-stained soul, slammed a drawer. Bell clanging like judgment. No one moves till Rapid City PD sorts this.
PD.
My old allies. The ones who turned blind on Tommy's wreck. Decisions forked. Fight here. Expose it messy. Or bolt with the badge and regroup. Controversy clawed. Exposing Echo could spark riots. White backlash, painting us as terrorists. But silence? That killed Tommy twice. I chose the blaze. Shoving the check into Hargrove's hands. Publish it all. For the kids. As cuffs clicked, mine again. But on Voss's wrists, the library pulsed with flashbulbs and fury. Evelyn's eyes met mine across the melee. Promising hell. But in that gaze, I saw the crack. Fear. The masquerade was just beginning. They hauled me, Voss's shell, to the station in the back of a cruiser that reeked of stale coffee and regret. The badge still pinned like a scarlet letter. Sirens wailed into the twilight. Rapid City's sodium lights smearing the windows into bloody streaks. Inside my skull, Tommy's voice echoed. Fight smart.
Grandpa.
Not hard.
Smart?
This was a powder keg. One spark from torching the prairie. News vans clogged the lot by arrival. Anchors barking into mics. Senator Voss in bizarre library meltdown. Impersonator claims body swap conspiracy. Evelyn's spin machine word already. Painting me as a deranged activist high on peyote. But the tape? That genie wouldn't stuff back in. Interrogation was a circus. Detectives, pudgy guys named Kowalski and Ruiz, with ties loosened like nooses, grilled me under fluorescents that buzzed like angry spirits. Senator. Sir?
Start from the top.
What's with the Blackfeather rant? I slouched in Voss's Seville Row slacks. Feigning his drawl. Call me Harlan for now. Fellas. But the truth? It's uglier than a Black Hills mine spill. They laughed. Till I dropped the phone on the table. Evelyn's confession looping. Ruiz's jaw unhinged. Kowalski hit record. This about the embezzlement? The kids' crash. I nodded, weaving the tale, Voss and Evelyn's fund heist, my frame-up, Tommy's murder to plug leaks. Then the kicker, Project Echo. Serum swaps for the power elite. I'm Dakota Blackfeather.
Gents.
Mind in the senator's meat. Prove it? Check his left pinky, tattoo from Nam. Faded rose. Mine's clean. They fetched Voss, my husk from holding. The old body slumped like a deflated buckskin. My eyes flickered with confusion. Lakota words tumbling out. Wakeng Thenka. Help. The room iced. Forensics called in. UV lights revealing the rose under Voss's polish. Whispers flew. Holy shit. It's true. But bureaucracy's a hydra. By dawn. Fed swooped, FBI. Homeland. Suits with earpieces and no souls. National security, they barked. Sealing the room. Evelyn arrived. Cool as courthouse marble. Her lawyer in tow. Harlan's dressed. Officers. Medication mix-up. This imposter is a hoax for headlines. She shot me a viper's smile, but I saw the sweat beading her temples. They separated us. Me to a black site motel on the outskirts, guarded, but with Voss's phone smuggled in. I burned the night dialing allies. Crow first. Voice gravel over static. Dakota. You stirred the hornet's nest. Evelyn's calling in markers. Voss's cabal runs deep. Senators. CEOs. Even a Veep shortlist.
Cabal.
The word fit like a war bonnet. Echo wasn't fringe. It was the shadow government. Swapping dissidents into drones. Help me end it, Doc. Full exposure. He hesitated. Then, upload the files to this drop, WikiLeaks style. But the serum, it's eroding. You feel it? Voss's memories bleeding in? I did, flashes of Yale keggers. Boardroom coups. A mistress's laugh. Shuddering. I hit send, ledgers. Logs. Evelyn's emails. By morning, the net ignited. Guardian headlines. U.S. Senator in body swap scandal? Protests swelled on the res. Facebook Live from elders. Voss stole our souls. Evelyn countered vicious. Presser at noon. Tears glistening. A tragic forgery by grieving extremists. Senator Voss is a patriot, but cracks showed, donors fleeing. Stocks in Voss's energy pack tanking. She cornered me in a hallway bluff. Guards stepping out on her nod. Dakota. You red savage, she spat. Close enough to spit. Harlan's body suits you, clumsy, but potent. Give it back, and I'll wire the 5 mil. Clean slate. Temptation clawed freedom. The res fund. But Tommy's badge weighed heavy in my pocket. Clean? You orphan my blood for spreadsheets. No deal. Her hand flashed. Slap stinging Voss's cheek. Then rot. I'll swap you into a hog, let you wallow.
Hog.
The slur hit like a gut punch, echoing boarding school taunts. I grabbed her throat, not hard, but firm, Voss's grip iron from congressional handshakes. Touch me again. And the next leak's your bedroom tapes. With the pool boy. She wrenched free, gasping. But the seed planted, controversy. Do I go nuclear, expose her affair, shatter her facade, or play chess? Let the feds unravel the web? Lakota teaching, strike once.
True.
But America? It thrives on spectacle. I chose the boardroom. Using Voss's codes, I hacked a virtual town hall, his fireside chat on Indigenous policy, Live to millions. At prime time. I logged in. Face calm. Folks. It's Harlan Voss. But not the one you know. The feed exploded, viewers spiking as I unspooled the yarn. Betrayal. The frame. Tommy's murder. Echo's horrors. They stole my grandson's life. My people's voice. Now I wear the thief's skin to scream it. Chat flooded. Body swap Voss trending. Memes of Voss as Pinocchio. Evelyn's team cut the feed. But too late, screenshots eternal. Backlash hit like a prairie fire. Capitol Hill erupted, impeachment whispers. DOJ probes. On the res. Bonfires blazed. Drums calling ancestors. But Voss's memory surged, a vision of Evelyn in a lab coat, injecting the trucker pre-crash. She'd orchestrated it all. Her ambition the blade. Rage peaked. I slipped a guard sidearm. Voss's fingers steady on the trigger. Confront her? End it messy? The decision tore. Murder made me monster. But justice? In America, it's just TV. I stashed the gun, opting for the long knife, a whistleblower meet with a Post reporter. Files in hand. As sirens wailed closer, Evelyn's hounds, I felt the serum fray. Voss's laugh bubbling in my throat. The reckoning wasn't mine alone. It was the land's. The motel room became my sweat lodge. Walls closing like a bad vision quest. Voss's memories invaded in waves. Boyhood fox hunts in Connecticut. The thrill of first blood on a pheasant's breast. I jolt awake. Sweating. Convinced I'd betrayed Tommy by wearing the killer's skin. Crow checked in via burner. The drops live. Dakota. International press swarming. But Evelyn's lawyering up, claiming you're a terrorist. Serum the hoax.
Terrorist.
The label stuck like tar sands. The feds go to for silencing pipes. Outside. Black Hawk helicopters thump the sky. Shadows of the cabal closing in. I paced. Badge clutched like a rattle. Weighing the fracture. Expose echo full. Risk war on the res? Or bargain? Trade silence for restitution? Controversy simmered. Heroes or hotheads? That's the American binary. Dawn brought the twist. A knock, not feds, but Mrs. Hargrove, the librarian, slipping in with coffee and a flash drive. From the elders, she whispered, eyes fierce. Your story checked out. Tribal records match the frame. And this, Evelyn's old firm files. Hacked by a nephew in IT. Goldmine, memos linking her to a dozen res scams. From casino rigs to adoption mills stealing native kids. Why help? I rasped, Voss's voice graveling. She touched the badge in my palm. My boy was Scout too. Died in Afghanistan, friendly fire cover-up. Bureaucrats like her? They bury us all. Alliance forged in shared graves. We plotted. Leak the drive to the Post meet. But first, infiltrate Voss's DC flight. Confront the cabal at their lair. The jet was opulence incarnate. Leather thrones. Champagne flutes etched with eagles. I boarded solo. Evelyn's Texas sirens call. Truce talk. Wheels up. She waited in the cabin, flanked by two bruisers in Brooks Brothers. Dakota, she cooed, pouring view. Or Harlan.
Sit.
We end this civilized.
Civilized.
Like treaties inked on stolen land. I sank into the seat, gun heavy in my ankle holster. Takeoff hummed. Heartland shrinking below. Your terms? She slid a folder. Immunity deal. 5 mil wired. Echo retired. In return, silence. And your body back, Harlan's mind is prepped in a clone shell.
Clone.
The horror deepened. Voss immortal. My people lab rats. And Tommy? Justice. Her smile slithered. Accidents happen. But dig deeper? We swap you into oblivion. A John Doe in the Platte. Betrayals echo chamber. I feigned buy-in, toasting as the plane crested clouds. Voss's memories flashed. Evelyn in his bed, plotting my downfall post-signing. The old man's too clean, she'd murmured. Frame him deep.
Deep.
Like the uranium pits poisoning our aquifers. Rage crested, I palmed the gun under the tray. One question.
Eve.
Why Tommy? He was a kid. Her laugh tinkled. Kids grow into lawyers. Dakota. Like you almost did suing for that land. Harlan's fracking deals needed it quiet. Fracking. Sacred Black Hills. Desecrated for gas. The fracture split wide, controversial call. Shoot her midair. Crash the jet in poetic justice? Or play longer? Record the confession? I chose the blade. Phone hidden. Recording. So you admit the murder? She leaned in, breath scotch sweet. Admit, darling? I orchestrated. The trucker? Cheap hire. Your boy's badge? Souvenir. Click, damning as a verdict. Bruisers tensed. But I was faster. Voss's reflexes honed by Pilates. Gun out. On her temple. Cabin pressure drop.
Boys.
Or she spills more. They froze. Evelyn paled. Harlan, Dakota think. The cabal's everywhere. Kill me. You die too. Everywhere. Senators. Judges. Oil sheiks in Echo's web. The plane banked for D.C. Potomac glittering below like a serpent's eye. Touchdown was frenzy, hangar swarming with Voss's detail. But my post-contact waited in the shadows, signaled by Hargrove's drive. I bolted Evelyn's guards with zip ties from the jet kit, dragging her to the meet in a stolen limo. Talk, I growled. Gun steady. She cracked. Spilling. Echo's origins, DARPA Black Op. Funded by Voss's PACs. Tested on volunteers from Supermax. My frame? Trial run for swapping activists. Tommy? Collateral. But Harlan. He loved the power. Wanted your grit in his shell.
Loved.
Past tense? Where's the real Voss? She smirked. Cloned. Waiting in the mountain bunker. You'll join him, swapped into nothing. The post guy, Jensen. Chain-smoking cynic, transcribed feverishly in a Georgetown diner. Fogged windows hiding our triad. Leaks flew live. Evelyn's vid. Drive docs. Net imploded, CNN loops. Twitter storms, Echogate. But fracture deepened. Feds raided the res at dusk, securing assets under terror pretexts. Elders called. Dakota. They're coming for the young ones. My doings stirring the hornets. Guilt clawed. Voss's arrogance whispering. Let them burn. Progress demands it. I shoved it down. Focusing on the climax. Storm the bunker. End Voss eternal. Hargrove wired cords from Crow, Cheyenne Mountain. Echo's heart. I hotwired a cab. Evelyn bound in the trunk. Her curses muffled. Drive blurred into night. Rockies looming like ancestors' judgment. Decisions haunted. Free her for a deal. Save the res? Or drag her in? Force the confrontation? Dark path called you, as the Vietnamese say. But this was American war. Tense as a coiled rattler. I chose the abyss. Gunning the pedal. Tommy's badge swung from the mirror. Eagle eyes on me. The mountain gates parted on Voss's code, betrayals key. Elevators hummed to sublevels. Sterile white echoing my footsteps. Guards down with tranks from the limo kit, Evelyn dragged behind. Spitting venom. You'll never win. Savage. America's ours.
Ours.
The fracture peaked, mirror in the lab showing Voss's face. Twisted with my fury. Inside, clone vats. Bubbling with potentials. And Voss' new body. Youthful. Strapped to a gurney. Eyes snapping open. You, he snarled. My old voice from fresh lips. Thief in my temple. The bunker air chilled like a winter solstice vigil. Fluorescent hum underscoring Voss's gasp. My old body, frail, tattooed with prison ink, writhed against restraints, but his eyes burned with the senator's ice. Evelyn thrashed in my grip, heels scraping tile. Harlan, reverse it now. Texts scattered like roaches. Alarms wailing as red lights pulsed. I leveled the gun at Voss's new chest, smooth, unscarred, 20 years peeled away. Reverse? Like you did my life. Tommy's badge glinted under the lights. A talisman against the madness. This was the climax. Revenge's bloody peak. But America demands twists, fairy tales with teeth. Voss laughed. My laugh from decades past. Wheezing. Dakota Blackfeather. The res rat in my robes. You think this ends me? Echoes bigger than one man. He nodded to a console. Screens flickering with feeds. DC hearings grinding to halt. Feds cordoning the res. Evelyn's face on every channel. Fugitive accomplice in senator abduction. Accomplice. The word twisted. My leaks painted her fleeing with me. Betrayals echo. You played me, I growled, finger whitening on the trigger. The truce? Bait to lure the fool here. She bucked. Snarling. Survival.
Harlan.
You were always the weak link.
Weak.
The fracture-eyed ignored split wide, Voss's memories flooding. Evelyn not his pawn, but puppeteer. She'd seduced him into Echo. Siphoned funds. Framed me to test loyalty. Tommy's death? Her solo call. Covering a skim Voss questioned. She used you, Senator. I taunted. Gun steady. Like she used me. His eyes flickered doubt? Or calculation. Tex lunged. Shots cracked. Bodies crumpling. Chaos reigned. Consoles sparking as I dragged Evelyn to the swap chair. Cold steel throne of transference. Your turn.
Eve.
Into the void. She screamed, bucking, No, Harlan. Save me. But Voss watched silent. A ghost in my flesh. Strapping her down. Serum vial glinting, Crow's emergency batch. Smuggled in my sock. Injection bit. Her body arched. Eyes rolling. Dakota. Please. Plea or ploy. I hit the switch. Machine whining like a dying buffalo. Agony mirrored the first swap, synapses firing. Souls shearing. But the reversal hit like lightning. Not Evelyn's mind ejecting, but mine pulling free. Voss's shell convulsed. I tumbled to tile. Old body reclaiming, wrinkles, aches. The rose tattoo itching like judgment.
No, wait.
Vision blurred. I rose in Voss's clone. Evelyn's husk slumping empty. But Voss? Freed into. Nothing? Alarm screamed. Bunker quaked. Self-destruct? Truth inverted in the glare. Voss's voice. From my old lips on the gurney. Fool. The clone was bait. Echo's safeguard. Mine's fork on threat. Fork. He'd duplicated. His essence splintered into backups. The Voss I'd confronted? A decoy shell. Programmed loyal. Real Harlan? Safe in a vault. Scheming eternal. And Evelyn? Not puppet. But partner. Her confession. A script to flush me. Rage curdled to ash. I'd been the mark. Revenge a funhouse mirror. You stole nothing, Decoy Voss sneered. We own the narrative. Activist delusion. Body snatcher myth for the tabloids. Doors hissed. Black ops poured in. Tasers humming. But the twist deepened. Crow's voice crackled over intercom. Traitors lilt. Dakota. Extract now. Files uploaded. Full echo blueprint. The cabal fractures without her. Her? Evelyn's body twitched. Eyes fluttering open, not vacant.
But mine?
No, swap glitch. Her mind in the clone? Confusion reigned as I, in Voss's youthful frame, bolted for the lift. Badge and fist. Gunfire stitched the air. I fired blind. Old instincts in new muscle. Elevator dinged topside. Mountain air sweet as freedom. But reversal's gut punch. Phone buzzed. Hargrove. Dakota? Voss just confessed. Live on C-SPAN. Echo's real. He's resigning. Your leaks. They broke him. Broke? Or played? Racing the Escalade down switchbacks. Screens blared. Voss, my old body. Tearful mea culpa. Fingering Evelyn as sole villain. Echo a rogue op. Hero turn. Painting me martyr. Controversy exploded. Pundits debating. PSYOP or breakdown. Res safe. Feds withdrawing under optics pressure. 5 mil? Released. Tripled by donors shamed. But the badge? In my pocket. Heavy as doubt. Ending bittersweet. Victory pyre. But shadows linger. Voss eternal. Somewhere Evelyn's fate? Swapped into obscurity. Or worse. I pulled over at Badlands Overlook. Dawn gilding the spires. Tommy's spirit whispered on the wind. You fought.
Grandpa.
That's enough. Enough? In America's gray dawn. Maybe. I pinned the badge to my Voss's jacket. Staring east. Revenge tasted hollow. But justice? It echoed. Debatable as the treaties. The ghosts nodded. The road called home. Epilogue whispers. Crow vanished. Serum vials destroyed. I slipped the clone shell. Mind frayed but free. Whispering truths to the wind. Happy? Tragic? You decide. The American way.